Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Big C Sports, and of course across the pond in Paris, France, as well as London, England. And of course we love you good old boys in Canada. I want to say, whoa, Canada, our home and native land. Man, I got a joke, Big C. I think I got nervous because I was thinking about Canada, so I'm going to have to pause it up, Big C. But there's no one I love more than the land of the free and the home of the brave. How are you good old boys doing down south, Big C?
I don't know, Charlton. You sounded like one of those ACC teams over the weekend, man. You know, 9 into the tournament, only one that came out over the weekend. But there was a lot of cheap factor going on, and I could hear a lot of that in your voice.
Oh, man.
You know, you feeling as dismal as everybody in the ACC right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I apologize, Canada. I felt like the guy at the free throw line. They're down 100 to 99, and he has 2 free throws, and I missed both of them, Big C, so I apologize, Canada. But I want to say thank you for following Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. Today is actually happy spring for everybody who follows anything in the world, but happy spring, especially here in the United States of America. Today is a beautiful March 20th, 2017, and with Big C, we had so much fun here in Northern California with March Madness. The NCAA brackets actually came to the Golden One Center, Sacramento, California. Had some great matchups, and the one that I really wanted to see was the great UCLA Bruins and Lonzo Ball. He's legit, and there's so many other great games going on around the country. Duke, whoever thought Duke would fall? We have Kansas moving on. Oregon had a good game. Just a lot of great games going on all over the country. Big C, your thoughts on March Madness?
Well, Charlton, it's been what I've expected it to be. You know, we always have those favorites that everybody are expecting to move on in the tournament, and rightfully so because they built that heritage. But as we talked about last week, all it takes is the hot game.
Yeah.
And you can eliminate somebody, and that was the ACC. 9 teams in the ACC entered the tournament, Charlton.
Wow.
In the round of 68, and now we get to the Sweet 16, and there's only one left, and that's North Carolina, last year's runner-up to Villanova, who was also knocked off Charlton this past weekend.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think a lot of people didn't expect Gonzaga to get to the Sweet 16. I always like what Mark Cuban's done there on the West Coast, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's been a very steady coach and has kept his players around in his program, allowing them to mature. And that has really helped. You can see that here in the tournament. But when you look at some of these games, Charlton, there were great games all throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you sit there and people say, well, Duke is gone, and, you know, people want to say, well, they had to go to South Carolina and play because that was right down the road, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever complained when people had to go to Duke and play.
Yeah.
And, you know, how far is South Carolina from North Carolina? It's not that far, Charlton.
Yeah.
We're talking an hour and a half, 2-hour car drive, and so the people at Duke that didn't have a private jet could get there in their
Yeah, that's funny, Big C.
So, you know, but it's great to see a new infusion of teams, Charlton, when you get down to the Sweet 16 instead of just the status quo. It lets you know what we've talked about, the parity in college basketball, because this is something that ESPN has created along with the other broadcast networks, Charlton, by showing all the college games. So now kids don't have to load up one university with all the talent.
Yeah.
And they can move it about across the country, which create a great balance, Charlton, for college basketball by leveling the landscape.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Big C. And speaking of landscape, I want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive one, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. We know Big C, yours has had a lot of mud on it, but I'm sure you don't take that thing to March Madness with all that mud trail, Big C. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I'm a little mad around here because it's kind of dry the past couple of days. You know, it's hard to find a mud hole to go water in and do donuts. So, you know, I'm going to have to go out there and turn the sprinkler on in the yard and sit around and test the grass a little bit just to get the mud back on my baby.
That is so funny. You ever have one of those family members that you invite them over to eat and they don't even clean up before they come by because they got dirt all on their shoes, they got mud on their pants, and they want to sit down on your finest furniture? Is that how you feel when you go to the Cadillac dealerships, Big C? Yeah.
I looked around at parties and I hadn't recognized half the people there. They just saw free stuff and showed up. This is not the Salvation Army from time to time.
That is so funny, Big Z. I do want to say that today is, I really want to give our thoughts out to Chuck Berry and his family, and one of the greatest performers, Chuck Berry, over the years, and brought a lot of style and some class to the world of music. Even though back in the days where he had to perform during Jim Crow, and a lot of the environment is the same type of environment that them good old boys in the White House are trying to stir up again, Big C, where they make you feel unwanted, but he still did his thing. One of the best musicians in the history of the planet, Big C. And just your thoughts on the great Chuck Berry, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, people will look around, Charlton, and call Elvis the godfather of rock and roll, which he wasn't. Elvis was able to manipulate a lot of his music and styles from African-American artists, Charlton,
yeah,
because of where he was in Memphis, Tennessee, and that was the hotbed of a lot of African-American, and especially the home of blues, Charlton.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about those artists that came out of that area, and Elvis was privy to see all of these great African-American artists perform, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he was able to take their ideas and their styles and put it on the white stage, and everybody thought that Elvis was an originator.
Yeah.
Elvis was one of the original plagiarizers in music and dancing art form, Charlton, when you really want to think about it, because that was the norm for white entertainers to move like that.
Yeah.
So he was one that wasn't afraid to cross over the line in the burial when he was young, but he could bring it back and no one would criticize saying it wasn't his, that he had stole it from an African-American artist because no one wanted to give them credit, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you think about Chuck Berry and what he did, his song and his style resonated there, and then when you look at a lot of what Elvis did, it's what Chuck Berry was doing and the other African-American artists at that time, Charlton, and you look at him, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's in the African-American Museum of Natural History as long as there's this red Cadillac, Charlton. But when you look at his performances, I mean, he was such a keynote entertainer that his guitar riffs, Charlton, still resonate today, and so many artists still sample out of what he did back in those days.
Yeah.
And you go to the movie Back in the Future, because a lot of people will remember that movie, Back in the Future, when Michael J. Fox, his original Back to the Future,
yeah,
when he was on stage, he was playing Chuck Berry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when you think about how it crossed over to the music genre, the movie genre.
Yeah.
But for it to go into a modern movie, and when he made that song back in the 60s, Charlton, it shows that his music stood the test of time.
Yeah, it did stand the test of time, and there's so many things that we are all in the entertainment business, whether it's iHeartRadio, whether it's Fox, whether it's NBC, CBS, all of us out there. Entertainment Tonight. When you think about music, I remember one of the greatest DJs. I used to listen to him way back in the day. I would think it was Wolfman Jack, and then you had the great Dick Clark, and Dick Clark opened up so many opportunities for people on a show called American Bandstand, and I believe Ryan Seacrest has taken over the stuff that Dick Clark used to do. But Berry did so much for the world of music, for all cultures, Black Americans, white Americans, they all loved the way he performed. So your thoughts on how he got the integrated audience to listen to his music? He wasn't just a black performer. Like you said, Elvis Presley emulated a lot of his style. How did he do that in the world where Black Americans were so hated, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, you got to realize that there were so many of the white Anglo crowd that would sneak to his performance.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let it be known, but that's how his music got out.
Yeah.
And on the radio, you could not say it was a black artist when he was being played.
Yeah.
And Chuck Berry was played, in mainstream radio, they just never said a black artist.
Yeah.
If it had been videos in those days, he would not have been seen as much, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, his music crossed over. The thing about music, Charlton, when we look at it, it's the universal language.
Oh, yeah.
And people really don't care who is performing it, as long as it's something that's appreciated and they can understand.
Yeah.
And white mainstream tried to keep black music out of the mainstream for so long. But, that thing where their kids could get a hold to music.
Yeah.
They couldn't control it. music was called the devil's music.
Yeah.
By white society.
Yeah.
How would white society know what the devil is unless they created it, Charles?
And see, yeah.
You can't call something that you don't know anything about something that you despise unless you created that image.
And yeah.
So this is how they tried to keep black music out of the mainstream for a long time because by calling it the devil's music.
Well, see, that's a.
You only know the devil unless you had a relationship.
Unless you had a relationship. That's funny, Big C. And the funny thing about that is, in our society right now, in our political climate, and we'll talk about sports because I think sports is the only thing that can connect people, all colors, all religions. People don't care what color you are, who you pray to. I mean, it just doesn't matter. It's always a secondary thing. And so we'll get into that too. But, you know, just talking about even today is being Spike Lee's birthday, and he's an awesome actor and awesome, you know, producer. Today I met someone by the name of Shauna West, and she looks like she could be the next Big C sports model on iHeartRadio. She reminds me of someone who takes really good care of herself. She works out hard. You know, a lot of people in California have that healthy look, and I've always admired people like they're like models. They show up to work, they perform, they take care of their families, but you can tell they work hard because it shows on the outside. So I want to just commend Shauna West for that, Big C. And I want to just say happy birthday to Spike Lee. He does a lot of work right now. We know he's always at Madison Square Garden in New York City, but now you see him a lot with Sam Jackson, and you see him a lot with the great, you know, your friend Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. Why do they call him the round mound of rebound, Big C? Any thoughts?
Well, you know, Charles was always growing up and stuff, man. You know, when he was at the University of Auburn, he resembled a Michelin man. Other than his complexion.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's never met a 4-car plate that he didn't like.
Yeah.
I think he has an app on his phone that let him know when Krispy Kreme is hot. Charles has always been a showman, and I really like the Capital One commercials that Spike and Samuel L. Jackson have done for March Madness. You know, they've had a history of that over about the past 5 years, 6 years, where they've come out and they've done this series of commercials that have been very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
But it also shows, Charlton, the real side of former athletes and actors.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to think that people always stuck up, but that's a real part of their life.
Yeah.
That's a lot of them that you see in these roles that they play.
Yeah.
Is that they're real people, they're genuine people, and they communicate.
Yeah.
You know, we want to think so often that people that have made some money in life that are untouchable.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're just as approachable as anybody when you approach them in the right way. If you approach them as a person and not get all giddy and gaga and demand that they take pictures and sign autographs, they just want to be looked at as normal people. And when you see these guys moving through, I think the best skit that they do is when they arrive at the airport in Phoenix, the Paul Airport, and them dancers there, and they're not getting any attention.
Yeah.
Because, you know, them, the white guys get it all. But, you know, it shows that, you know, that they have empathy and character also.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at that role.
Well, I really like the one where they're sitting on the couch and they're watching, I guess, March Madness, and it's down to maybe the last few seconds of the game, and some guy's at the free throw line, and Sam Jackson claps on the TV, and the power goes off. And they go, what in the world happened? And then Charles Barkley clapped his hand and came back on. Spike said, you got your TV hooked up to the clapper, Charles? That was funny to me.
Well, when Charles, you know, he shows that he doesn't have a lot of mobility left in his life. So, you know,
oh, man.
You know, let's turn him off. And everything else. But, you know, Charles has been noted to get a little lazy. But we all do that, Charles. It's getting long in years. You got to look at the pounding that the legs take as a former athlete.
Yeah.
You know, and no one realizes that, you know, a lot of basketball players with a lot of stress fractures in their feet and their ankles, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, the cartilage is basically gone from that pounding up and down the court.
Yeah.
Night after night for over a decade. So you can understand what athletes go through once they get over 50, 60 years of age is that, you know, their body is all of a sudden turned into an 80-year-old man for the most part.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so when you sit there and you look at Charles's role in that one house commercial where he puts the chip right there.
In the hoodie, yeah.
You know, he's calling himself
yeah.
Well, he's eating right out of the car.
funny. He started a bad thing. I know a lot of kids walk around putting potato chips in the hoodie hats now, Big C, but very funny guy. And going back to Spike Lee's birthday, again, happy birthday. Yeah, that's funny. But I go back to Spike Lee and happy birthday, Spike. And someone who's done so much, I won't just say for himself, but for a lot of people when Hollywood was kind of anti-black. He wrote one of the best and directed one of the best movies called He Got Game, which had Denzel Washington. It had Ray Allen, who was played by Jesus Shuttleworth. That was his name in the movie. I think it had a few other guys. I think the guy who played Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing was in it also. But Lala, the wife of Carmelo Anthony, she was also in that. And it was about a young college basketball player that they were trying to get to come to a university. He was an all-American, all-everything, and he was the next new, Lonzo Ball in a sense. And Spike Lee talked about the pressures, Big C, that athletes go through. It's not just about going to a college. There are good people and bad people that want you to play pro. Your thoughts, Big C?
I'm talking it is. It's like what we see here in March Madness, Charles.
Yeah.
As great as this tournament is, and joy and frustration for the young men, it is also an equal amount, if not a greater amount, of manipulation financially of these young men, Charles.
Yeah.
When we think about the millions of dollars that's going to go through these universities and to the broadcast networks, Charles, and not a bit of it is funneled to these young men as far as their future, when you think about it, we look at what the NFL did as far as this concussion thing, even though it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
They set aside $1 billion. Okay, they're making $8 million out of the current TV contract.
Yeah.
But they set aside $1 billion for former players, and those former players outnumber all the players that are in the NFL now. So when you think about the former players, which are probably 6-7 times the number of players that are playing now.
Yeah.
Only get $1 billion out of the $8 million, Charlton. It's not enough.
Yeah.
And when you look at the level of contracts that these players make nowadays versus what those guys made back in the day, you think about Mark Starr, first Super Bowl quarterback. His rookie salary, $8,000, Charlton. Wow. $8,000.
Wow.
And this is the guy who won the first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He had to work during the offseason. To have a job this big to support his family because football can pay the bills.
Yeah.
But, and when you look at the health problems that is occurring today, and even though he will receive a settlement that he has not already got in the concussion lawsuit, Charlton, is not enough. You can't pay the forefathers of the game enough. Just like when you look at these athletes who sacrifice, and I watched one of the young men who played, I believe it was for Duke, who tore his knee.
Oh, yeah.
In a game. So his career potentially could be over. He destroys his knee in a game. He's going to have surgery. But there's no financial restitution for him, Joe.
No, and that's...
Because of his injury.
Yeah, and that...
He gets a chance to go get his education, but any aspirations that he may have had, he may not have had them, Joe.
Yeah.
But if he had had them to play professional basketball, they're basically out of the window. So he destroys his knee. No one will say, no one's going to cry for him. Mike Krzyzewski still got his bonus for making the tournament. He doesn't get the bonus for winning the championship.
Yeah.
But he got his bonus for making the tournament. Mike's not going to say, hey, let me give this bonus to this young man, okay?
Yeah.
Because he deserves it. His college career could be over. My $7 million salary, should be enough to get me by, and Mike could say that.
I thought he makes 10. I thought Mike makes 10, Big C.
Okay, but hey, he's not going to give that tournament bonus to this young man who destroyed his knee. And so this is where the rest of the media and even the NCAA needs to take a look. And when these young men get injured, and everybody says, well, it's the risk of playing sports.
Yeah.
Okay, the risk of walking outside your house to get by a car is there also. But you're not walking out of your house to perform a game and make somebody else money.
Yeah.
At that point, Charles. But when you're performing on the court, think about when you get hurt on the job now in America, there's workman compensation, okay?
Yeah.
There's no athletic compensation for college athletes who get hurt.
And there should be.
Performing for their university.
Yeah.
They're not compensated unless they can afford an insurance policy to pay. But then all of a sudden, the NCAA is going to question, where did he get the money from to pay for the insurance policy?
And that's a very good point.
Lose his eligibility, or the school is going to lose something. So you can't win as a student athlete, Charles.
Well, there was a football player back in the day at the University of Stanford. He was out of Sacramento, California, by the name of Randy Fasani. And according to Mark Tennis at Cal High Sports, one of the better prep California quarterbacks over the past 30 years. And I remember he went down to the farm and he had a knee injury, but his family had the money to take out a policy in case he got injured. And he obviously did get injured, Big C, but not every family has that kind of money. And just speaking of money right now, Big C, there was a player for the University of Wisconsin, and they were talking about it today. I know we've been talking about it for the last year, Big C, but they have to find out how you do this. And let's just be real. Most of these athletes are young black kids, and I'll just say for inner cities for the most part. And, you know, the same inner cities that Donald Trump says he's going to give $1 billion to before he got elected, right? And now they're saying, how do you give these kids who are broke and sometimes even overdrawn their accounts because they get some type of a stipend to buy food, but they still have to travel, they still have the effort, energy, and the endurance to play these games. And these schools, for the most part, 90% of the presidents of these universities in March Madness, they're all Caucasian. And it's not much different than the days of Jim Crow, or even if you go back to the days of the slavery. I won't even say slavery, that's kind of too harsh of a word. But the days of sharecropping where you just worked for your labor. That was your money. You got a place to sleep. Most white institutions making over $1 billion combined, and these black kids, for the most part, get nothing but a handshake and a hat. How are they going to rectify that? They have more people talking about it outside of Big C Sports. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the reason why you don't get other media outlets talking about this is because they're benefiting financially from it also.
Yeah.
But when you look at who's broadcast, we got TNT, you got True TV, you got CBS. These networks are broadcasting. You got ESPN and Fox with all the highlights. You know, so when you think about that, it's also there was a few games on pay-per-view, Charlton.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the financial gain of everyone involved off of the free labor,
yeah,
you know, it's almost like when you look at the prison complex of America, and we've talked about that. There's a lot of former athletes in the prison complex of America.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about the movie 13, about the incarceration of
yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about when they're paying prisoners, what they pay them per hour, and I'm not saying that there's some people that should not be locked up, Jonathan.
Most of the White House and most of Donald Trump's men should be locked up, but they're getting paid. I understand what you're saying.
Well, maybe they should start at the White House right now, locking people up.
They're starting to, believe it or not.
but when you look at everybody, generally who listens to our show has a car, I'm going to believe.
Yeah.
And everybody on their car has this thing called license plates, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, these license plates are made in the correctional institutions of the state that you live in.
Yeah.
They're not farmed out to some company. They're made in the state that you live in.
Yeah.
In a correctional institution. Now, they pay these workers between 25 cents and 50 cents an hour, Joe, to make these license plates. Now, you think about what you had to pay for your plates when you went down to the DMV.
Yeah.
Now, is this not profiteering off of slave labor?
Oh, yeah.
Realistically?
Yeah.
If you're paying a worker between $2 and $4 a day to make dozens and dozens of, and I'm going to say to make it hundreds because it's beyond the dozens, so.
Yeah.
But this is what he's paying. And so I guess that's what Trump means by buy America, made in America, buy America. Don't you buying license plates, you're using American labor.
Maybe that's part of a Trump.
There's no shortage of it. And you think about it, Trump. When you look at a lot of call centers in America, they're run through prisons. These call centers are able to hire out prisoners to take orders. And these prisoners are taking these orders for 50 cents an hour, Joe. And they're on the phone all day long, typing in your order, hitting your credit card. One of the biggest scandals in America, Joe, that ever was in credit cards, you know, scamming, happened through TWA Airlines, the defunct airlines of years back.
Yeah.
That was based out of St. Louis. TWA call center was set in a prison, and these prisoners started keeping credit card numbers and selling them.
Wow.
And a lot of Americans lost millions and millions of dollars because of this, but you could not fault the criminals for being criminals.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, the companies that were manipulating them got to the bank, literally.
Well, that's
but,
funny.
You know, when you look at how American society has treated secular society, it's wrong. And so when we're getting slave labor from college athletes, we can really look at them how prisoners are treated. So
yeah.
There's not much of a variance other than they can walk around free on campus.
Well, Big C, that's amazing that you mentioned that. I know you calling from 3,000 miles away. You're on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. and technology is amazing. And the way I want to tie this in, in Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports have been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. Would you believe, you're talking about people incarcerated, the FBI, Chief Director of the FBI, James Comey, he disputes Donald Trump's claim that President Obama bugged Trump Tower, and they're calling Donald Trump a liar. Could you imagine the President of the United States, POTUS, the most powerful position on the planet Earth, being accused of lying by the FBI and the CIA that he committed, when you slander a person's reputation, it's called slander. He's the only one to slander a former United States president. And now, this is deep because Maxine Waters was talking about it on CNN just over the week, Big C. They're looking into the banking that Donald Trump has ties with Russia, okay? And some of these oligarchies in Russia that contributed money to Donald Trump, that he owes nearly $1 billion to Russia and Putin, and that's why he's so nice to Vladimir Putin. And then when this comes out, he's going to start impeachment proceedings. That's by the FBI and Maxine Waters. Your thought on POTUS, realizing that the guy who called the start of the birther movement was a lot more intelligent than this knucklehead. Big C, your thoughts?
I look at the current president and the statements and tweets that he makes, and now that you have his staff, that they're lying more than him.
Yeah, they're all in trouble now. They're all in trouble.
In every kind of way. This lie is covered. This lie, they can't remember the last lie they tell because every time they talk is lie, okay? I think when they go into their briefings every day, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the list of lies we're covering today.
Yeah.
It's not, this is what we're covering, this is the list of lies. Because when you listen to Sean Spicer,
yeah,
and he started out that he was very adamant about the former president wiretapping.
Yeah.
Then he went to an Inspector Gadget cartoon character. Well, we didn't say that he climbed up a pole with him. Now it's and all of a sudden, the president came out last week saying there's going to be a whole lot of wealth of evidence that comes out over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The only evidence that's coming out is that the FBI director and the director of national defense saying that, hey, the guy lied.
Yeah.
And they just put in that terminology, but that's what they said. When they said there's no conclusive evidence, he lied. Basically, they just can't say that about him in a public setting.
Yeah.
But he lied, and his backers, when he's going to go in and he's going to talk about, well, they're saying that they have nothing, but there's something there.
Yeah.
There is something there, that you had collusion with his main campaign manager, who they said worked at a very limited basis, for, I think it was 13 months.
Yeah.
A very limited basis, he was head of his campaign. So that was limited. And after he left with his ties to Russia, but, the honesty of it, I think that America needs to get over its racism about the previous president.
Yeah.
And stop being mad at him because he was black.
Yeah.
And give him credit for what he did with his honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
Versus the man that we have running the country now that is going to cause us great problems, over time, financially. He's going to cause potentially war problems because we've never had countries.
Oh, we're going to war. He's going to start a war with North Korea, some type of military action, because they won't impeach a president during a time of war. Big C, that's coming. Just look at all the writing on the wall with the military buildup in North Korea. But it's ironic that we had Angela Merkel, the Prime Minister of Germany, and some of the reporters from Germany, of all places, Adolf Hitler's old stomping grounds, Big C, they're asking POTUS why he lies and doesn't have any proof of his accusations of a former president. And that's from a German. I wish Wolf Spitzer would be more open and more honest about his reporting, because of someone of his integrity. I mean, where's Walter Cronkite when we need him, Big C? Why is everybody they know that he's lying. Maxine Waters knows, Elijah Cummings knows, John Lewis knows, and I wonder why you have someone like Paul Ryan who's willing to destroy his whole political career over a guy who's known to be a sexist, a fascist, a racist, a knucklehead. Your thoughts, Big C?
Molested also, Charles, so just toss that in there. He admitted to molesting.
Oh, where he said he grabbed someone in the vagina? Yeah.
Well, he's openly admitted to molesting women.
Yeah.
That did not want his advantage. But
if anyone thinks that's cool, let your daughter go around some old 70-year-old man or however old he was, and let him grab her in the crotch and then defend that man, because that's what you do when you stand up for POTUS. He never even apologized for it. Your thoughts?
let your daughter go, or your wife go hang out with him in the White House with no Secret Service around and see what happens to one of them. But I think what happened, Charlton, is the investment of the party.
Yeah.
That you went in, you were all in, basically.
Yeah.
You cowboyed down with this man. And now all of a sudden, every time he opens his mouth or his tweet, he's an embarrassing act to you, but you backed him.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cartoon character, Charlton, that it's not reality.
Yeah.
But you keep waiting on him to rewrite the script.
Yeah.
We all remember Charlie Brown, Charlton, okay?
Yeah.
And especially Charlie Brown's Christmas. Every year he was going to have this little dainty Christmas tree that nobody wanted.
Yeah, that's funny.
You kept cheering for Charlie Brown. You kept hoping that it would turn around for him. Even though you knew that cartoon was the same year after year.
Yeah.
That's sort of like what we have right now with the presidency, Charlton. We have a Charlie Brown character.
Yeah.
Every day is going to be the same. That Christmas tree is going to look the same. Every day he's going to come out with some tweet that's asinine.
Yeah.
That has no relevance. And we talked about it. This guy, it's like what kids do. And I want to give praise to former First Lady Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
She stated before she left the White House, we need an adult in the White House.
Yeah.
We need someone who understands society. That's what we need. And everybody that listens to our program that's a parent understands this. If you have a fruit tree in your backyard, the fruit that your kids go out there and get off the tree, Charlton, is the low-hanging fruit because it's easy to get.
Yeah.
And that stuff that's up top is what the adults have to get. And normally it's more riper than that stuff on the bottom of the tree. And when we look at all these presidential signings, these executive orders that have been signed, Charlton, this is all the low-hanging fruit. They've been nothing to advance American society. They've been nothing to create jobs. They've been nothing to create the infrastructure rebuilding of America. They've been nothing to perpetuate the advancement of American culture.
Yeah, and
it's all about self-serving paperwork.
Yeah, and
so the day that he gets to work with something that's going to advance the American culture, then he will get his presidency.
Yeah.
But he couldn't even withstand having a decent speech one night, Charlton, because he came back with his childish antics and the tweets 2 days later accusing President Obama of something.
Well, see, this guy, especially if you're a single parent out there, and there are a lot of people who just make it paycheck to paycheck. Here's a president that promised creating jobs, and a lot of poor people voted for him because they thought he'd make them rich, and now he's cutting out the services that help a lot of poor people, whether you're trying to deal with the housing, they're trying to gut housing that helps a lot of poor people get housing. They're trying to gut education. They're trying to cut Pell Grants, which helps a lot of poor kids, not even poor kids, but middle-class kids go to college. They want to cut that. They want to cut down on the arts and humanities. I mean, at some point in time, even if you're a dumb knucklehead person, you got to realize when somebody comes to your house and steals all your food and says, don't worry about it, we're going to make you rich. This Trump care is going to have 25 million people lose their health care. I don't care what color you are. If your kids get sick, are you really going to put up with that garbage? And that's why the impeachment proceedings will start when they actually get to the point where he realizes he owns 20% of a Russian bank with some Russian oligarchs, Big C. But that's for all the good old boys that voted for Trump. I thought he would do great as a president, but I was wrong, and I'm willing to admit I was wrong too, Big C. I want to also say that this segment is sponsored by Bennemark Insurance, and that boys and girls sports is a billion-dollar industry. In Big C Sports, we are the foundation to bring in that billion-dollar industry to get athletic coverage and sports coverage through Bennemark. We're in all 50 states in the United States. We cover pro athletes. We cover your collegiate athletes. We have March Madness going on. We cover your high school athlete, even your mom and pop soccer league. Tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. Also follow us on Twitter at YesCharlton on Twitter. And Big C, something I want to bring up. I know you talked about earlier with the NCAA and this free labor they're getting, primarily from black kids. I want to bring something up that Spike Lee also talked about, and that's these quarterbacks that are being signed by NFL teams. Would you believe that Colin Kaepernick is one of the only Super Bowl quarterbacks over the past several years that's not being signed, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charles, when you think about the quarterbacks that have been in the Super Bowl, that are still active in the NFL. He is the only one without a contract.
Wow.
And you have to wonder why. And people say, well, he's not the quarterback he was 2 years ago. So So why is Jay Cutler hot on the market? He's not the quarterback he was 5 years ago.
That's true.
You talk about Cade McNown.
Yeah.
People talking about Josh McNown, people talking about signing him. He hasn't been a starting quarterback in the NFL, Jonathan, in a decade.
Yeah.
We look at the kid that just left Tampa Bay, who's been a 2-year clipboard holder, okay?
Yeah.
He signed in Chicago, Mike Lennon.
Yeah.
For $47 million over 3 years, yet he's held the clipboard for the last 2 years, backing up a quarterback, not even playing.
$47 million?
$47 million. You remember your buddy Brock Osweiler last year?
Yeah.
$4 million.
That's right.
Okay? He was such a great quarterback, they traded him to the worst team in the NFL. All right?
Wow.
This has been one of the things, Charlton, when you look at African-American quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Those that have found success have also found a way to not have a job.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that occurs, and people won't look at it from that perspective. They say, well, he just hasn't performed well. Okay, show me how many white quarterbacks, Charlton, in the NFL have been sub 500 over the last 3 years.
So, Big C, do you think it's a race thing? You think it's that blatant that's the good old boy network doesn't like a black man standing up for black people or Black Lives Matter? Is that what you really think, Big C?
Damn right it is, Jonathan. And no bones about it. Because when you look at it, okay?
So why won't CNN or ESPN or Fox or ABC or CBS be that blatant about it?
Well, Jonathan, they have to sugarcoat it. And they want to tear down what Colin Kaepernick hasn't done well, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you that he hasn't won some games. Okay, let's look at this. Who's this quarterback from Washington, D.C. now, Jonathan, with the Redskins?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. This guy's a sub-500 quarterback.
Yeah.
But over 2 years, Charlton, he's making $45 million being a sub-500 quarterback.
Wow.
Over 2 years span, $45 million. That was his contract, not his bonuses.
Wow.
That was his contract for 2 years being sub-500. Okay?
Yeah.
But look around. And how many white quarterbacks are not as good as him? Drew Brees, how many games has Drew Brees won in the last 2 years? One of the greatest quarterbacks around.
Yeah.
But how many games has he won in the last 2 years, Charlton? Drew Brees is a sub-400 quarterback, not 400.
Yeah, he's living on the path.
He hasn't won 40% of the games in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
All right? But he's making $25 million a year. So when we look at quarterbacks not performing, Johnson, we can go up and down the ledger.
Yeah.
And find quarterbacks that have performed. Sam Bradford, Johnson, went to the Vikings this year, okay?
Yeah.
Sam Bradford's been the highest paid quarterback ever since he's been in the NFL almost. And the highest paid rookie quarterback in history. This is the first time in Sam Bradford's career, Johnson, this year,
Yeah.
that he was an above 500 quarterback. The first time in his career. Think about that.
Yeah.
Got 7 years in the league. First time in his career, he's an above 500 quarterback in one season.
Yeah.
Not over his career, in one season. Nobody ever talked about Sam Bradford losing his job.
Yeah.
We go up and down the list. Ryan Tannehill in Miami, okay?
Yeah.
Been in the league the same amount of time as Colin Kaepernick. Ryan Tannehill has never made the playoffs. The Dolphins made the playoffs last year, but Matt Moore was playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill has never played in a playoff game. He's been in the league the same amount of time as Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
So when you want to look at these quarterbacks, Charlton, and talk about who's good, who's not good, who's worth it, let's go one even further. The quarterback who started for the 49ers last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
Blaine
Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert. This guy's won 8 starts in 6 NFL seasons. Fans, listen. 8, count them, 8 starts. He was the second quarterback taken in the draft behind Cam Newton.
Yeah.
He was drafted in the same year that Colin Kaepernick was, and Colin Kaepernick went the second round. Russell Wilson went the third round.
Yeah.
Okay? Blaine Gabbert has won 8 NFL starts. Now you take together Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick. They've won more playoff games in their career combined than what Blaine Gabbert has won in starts in the NFL in 6 years.
Well, Big C,
People still think he's an NFL caliber quarterback.
that's a very good point that you're bringing up there, and I know that race matters on almost everything. There's even a movie that has some racial undertones, but people love it. I think it's called Get Out, And I hear it's very gripping. I'm probably going to go see it. But it was just like Sidney Poitier back in the day when it was a Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and it was a black guy coming home with a white girl, and did the white family like it? Kind of the Archie Bunker mentality. And I think that mentality still runs a lot of NFL teams. They love you as long as you're big, strong, and black. But if they want to put you in a commanding position, like the quarterback position, they've always preferred a white guy, just because it looks like them, I guess, even though you wouldn't think of it matter if you want to win. But I think that's part of what's going on with Colin Kaepernick, because he's been the most productive offensive guy for the 49ers even since his surgery. And I want to bring up this question because I know Charles Barkley says that we're not role models, but I want to say we're bigger than just football. We're not just dumb jocks. I'm going to mention something to you. Out of Tom Brady, Colin Kaepernick, Kirk Cousins, Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, there's one quarterback that has helped send food to Somalia to help solve the problem with nearly 6 million starving kids, okay? As a humanitarian, I mean, if you're on the planet Earth and you can't eat, you would think some of these high-priced quarterbacks or corporations would care. The only one that's done something about it is Colin Kaepernick, yet they're saying they don't want that mentality on their team that's going to bring an awareness to black suffering in the NFL and throughout the country, Big C. Why won't Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Romo or Cousins give any type of money to help starving kids in any country, Big C? Colin Kaepernick is. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, how many NFL starting quarterbacks Charlton last year gave up $1 million, okay, to a cause,
yeah,
to a community cause to help bring awareness and ease suffering? When we think about that, Charlton, what was it, 32 starting quarterbacks? And there were actually more than 32.
Yeah.
When you look at, guys who filled in on some games.
Yeah.
But how many of those quarterbacks donated $1 million like Colin Kaepernick did? But Colin Kaepernick, Charlton, has been blackballed by the NFL. You want to know why? Because it's a Republican-run base. When you think about it, let's be honest about the ownership of the NFL.
Yeah.
When you can have an owner in Jim Irsay get caught with $27,000 of illegal oxycontin in his car, $27,000, and he's inebriated and arrested, and not given a sobriety test, Charlton.
Yeah.
But he only gets a 6-month suspended sentence, Charlton. 6 months suspended. You get caught, or any of our listeners get caught with $27,000 in oxycontin and other people's name in your car, as well as with $22,000 cash.
Yeah.
That you haven't told IRS about anything about. See how much time you spend in jail. Okay?
But let's
be realistic about that. Only him and Rush Limbaugh get out of jail with that much oxycontin along with other people.
Has any... Go ahead, Big Z, go ahead.
Both of them are white, Charlton. Both of them are white.
Yeah.
So there's a correlation to that. We see more minorities in jail, Charlton. More minorities in jail with $2,000 worth of some type of paraphernalia that didn't have their name on it than a white guy with $27,000 worth, Charlton, sitting in his car seat.
Yeah.
Now, if you're black, Charlton, you get hit with intent to distribute, okay?
Yeah.
So what sane individual uses $22,000 to $27,000 in oxycontin, Charlton?
Rush Limbaugh.
That's intent to distribute, okay?
Yeah.
I don't care how you look at it as a minority, you consider it a drug dealer.
Well, see...
And if you're white and rich, you're somebody with a chemical dependency, all right?
And see, I want to bring that up because this all ties into March Madness. There was a gentleman, and we talked about it, and Jay Billis has been the only Caucasian lawyer on TV that's even brought up the issue, and he still has a job, that not paying athletes is an antitrust violation, where they can even have video games and they use the jersey of an athlete in college, and the athlete can't make any money, like whether, whatever the video company might happen to be, and everybody's getting paid except for this young black talent, especially for the people that say, well, Colin Kaepernick, he shouldn't say anything about black suffering or anybody suffering, and he never beat up a woman. He was never accused of that. We have 2 NFL Hall of Fame Super Bowl quarterbacks, and they have had accusations of rape in the background, Big C, and they still play the game. They just happen to be Caucasian, and that's okay. But some guy that stands up against police brutality, then obviously we got to shut him down, and because he happened to be black. And I hope that people are honest about that. That's the only reason that he's not given the same chance that a lot of these losing quarterbacks are getting, where they're getting multiple millions of dollars. And now we see the same thing happening, as we love March Madness, but all I see as a business person, I see free black talent being non-compensated outside a pat on the back, and a hug, and that's when Mike Krzyzewski, which I love as a coach, but he says, I love my kids. If you love people, you don't starve them, Big C. They got to find a way to create some type of endowment for these athletes, not just the ones that go pro. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Jonathan, if we do the comparison between these quarterbacks, and look at Joe Mixon, the running back out of University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We got a teenage and another female teenage in the face of the bar.
Yeah.
Why were both of these teenagers allowed in the bar salaries, okay?
Yeah.
The bar owner's not being held culpable for allowing teenagers to drink in his bar, okay?
Yeah.
He was, I believe, he was a freshman at Oklahoma.
And we're not excusing the man at all. We're not excusing the man of what happened, but only one person is being punished.
But what I'm saying is that you got two teenagers in a drinking environment where alcohol is being poured, okay?
Yeah.
And so this unfortunate incident happened. But we're talking about a professional NFL quarterback that has played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Accused of rape because he was white. He
Yeah.
got off. Now, you look at some of the heinous acts that have occurred regardless of which complexion that you are, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And the black athletes have been persecuted, okay?
Yeah.
But the white athlete, and none of the black athletes have been accused of rape, okay? That's the thing we're looking at.
Right.
Okay? These football players have not been accused of rape. Nixon wasn't accused of rape. Ray Rice wasn't accused of rape.
No.
James Harden wasn't accused of rape. Yet they did violent acts. But Josh Brown kicked his wife's butt for a couple years and was still allowed to play, even though the NFL had evidence of it. Okay?
Over 20 times he called 911, yeah.
The punter with the New York Giants, over 20 calls to law enforcement that's documented. The NFL had this record because the NFL has their own policing staff.
Yeah.
But because he was a white punter, he was about to play. Even the ownership of the team knew he was doing
Yeah, the Mara family.
He won the Pro Bowl,
Yeah.
the Pro Bowl a couple years. The Mara family moved his family out of the hotel because he was beating up his wife in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. And
And she called, and instead of bringing the police in so he could play the game,
yeah.
let's just move the family so he can play and we won't disrupt him get this bonus because he got a bonus for playing the game even though he was beating up his wife and still kept his contract the next year. So the Mara family with accessories after the fact and not allowing but paying this man to beat up his wife.
Yeah, and
that's what they were doing. They were paying him to beat up his wife. So they were basically he was a hit man for the Mara family.
Yeah, and see, and we're having a little bit of issue with the microphone, Big C. I know we got some inclement weather back south, but I just want to say also that same thing for anyone, no matter what color you are. If you have a problem with police brutality against black men, and that to me is more egregious than a guy saying, let's bring a stop to it. I think what he started is a dialogue for intelligent people. For dumb people, they just want to play football. I understand they're going to stay dumb. But a lot of the intelligent people, they've actually had a good talk about how we can make things better from law enforcement and from the citizens, whether you're black or white. We all want our kids to come home safe. We want our wives to be able to go and work with men without being sexually assaulted like POTUS did. Donald Trump bragged about grabbing a woman in the vagina, and 12 women came forward to sue him, and he threatens to sue them because they're told on him, and that's what a bully does. Don't let bullies scare you. Just call 911. So we're not saying anti-anything American. We're just saying give people a chance who bring out a grievance to pat them on the back or at least give them some support. I want to bring up these two more issues before we close, Big C. And again, this is Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America, and we are worldwide. I want to bring up the fact that Tom Brady, his jersey was found. They're saying it was by an international reporter, Big C, and who cares? I mean, Tom Brady as an athlete, yeah, he's great. As a public servant or someone who could be an example, I think he's just garbage. He has no character other than saying, let's go, let's go. He does nothing to stand up for women's rights or for the rights of the 75% of his teammates, which happen to be black men. And they canonize this guy as a saint. And Colin Kaepernick can't get a job, and he's trying to help solve a problem of 6 million Somalians. No other athlete in any sport is doing that. So shame on some of these owners that have an issue with a black man standing up. It'd be great to see all black athletes boycott the NFL for the first month and see if that puts more interest on helping young black athletes. Big C, your thoughts?
Black athletes took a stance. It's not like they're going to go broke anytime soon. But if they took a stance against their employers who make a great deal of money off of them, it's like I heard LeBron James come out and make a statement that you cannot stop athletes from sitting down resting.
Yeah.
And so the white media regardless of how tired you get.
Yeah.
You know, you're being paid.
Yeah.
They're being paid, Charlton. When they have a sick day,
Yeah.
they don't show up.
Yeah, the NFL is a union. The NFL is a union. They have a right to call in sick, Big C, just the way someone at UPS or the post office can do the same thing.
But that's the thing that's being said now, Charlton, about the black athletes.
Yeah.
In basketball, is that they don't have the right to take a night off.
Yeah.
In the job. And I know of every business where you're allowed to call in if you're not feeling well, you're tired, you're sick, under the weather, your kids got a problem.
Yeah.
You're allowed to call in. But they're saying that the black athletes can't do this, Charlton, which is appalling by the media.
Yeah.
And they say, well, Greg Popovich started this a few years ago. Greg Popovich understood and cared about his players' health, their well-being. And you and I talked about this at the beginning of the show, the young player from Duke who got hurt over the weekend who tore up his knee. There's no compensation for him, Charlton.
No.
There's no lifelong insurance policy that's going to cover him if he doesn't make the NBA.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at the well-being of players, Charlton, if you ever saw one of the big men in the NBA that's above 50 years old now walking, trying to get around, and you watch him walk with a limp. Watch Charles Barkley walk.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley is hunched over, bad knees, bad back, and so he's not taking it at all.
Yeah.
You see Shaq on these commercials complaining about the back pain that he had.
Yeah.
Shaq has those. Now, when Shaq's career ended, Shaq tore his Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Try weighing 360 pounds, tearing your Achilles tendon, and recovering from that. Shaq walks with a limp.
Yeah.
As well as many other players. We saw Kobe at the end of his career. The Mamba just ended last year.
Yeah.
Kobe had consecutive leg injuries, Achilles, knee. Everything went bad on Kobe all at once.
Yeah.
Kobe doesn't, he couldn't move at the end of his career. Yes, he scored 60 points in his last game. I think he took 62 shots.
Yeah.
But, you know, he scored 60 points.
Yeah.
But the Mamba wasn't the Mamba. The Mamba was no more than a plain old garbage.
Yeah, like snakes on a plane with Sam Jackson.
You know, there was no strike left in it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to look at this. And here it is. We only hear the white media complaining about the black athletes not playing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody in the white media yet complaining about the white players sitting on the bench that don't play at all.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Why is that? You saying he's no good? You only want to see the black guys out there?
Well, Big C, I gotta.
And when those guys do play, you're not complaining about the blacks are not out there and you're not getting your money's worth?
Well, see, in the final couple of minutes, Big C, I just hope that we get this analytics, which is a new word that a lot of the networks, they bring out this analytics person and they're going to give you numbers. And I hope for the sake of broadcast integrity, do the analytics study on the black quarterbacks that don't get the same kind of money that white quarterbacks get, and even though they have a better record, okay? Even though some have been to the Super Bowl, Big C, I hope they bring that out because we're talking about equal pay for equal work. If you have women that don't make the same kind of money for equal work, we call it equal pay for equal work. We make an issue of that. We want to make the same issue for ethnic groups too. If you're a Caucasian person, there's no way you should make more money than a black quarterback just because you're white. Bring out the analytics. If you're ABC, Fox, or ESPN, or anyone consider themselves to be a credible sports show like Big C Sports. If you don't get it there, just keep following Big C Sports. In the last minute, Big C, we know March Madness is upon us. I'm still looking at UCLA getting to the Final Four because Lorenzo Ball, he's the truth. Your thoughts on March Madness in the final minute, Big C?
Well, Charles, when you think about that, getting to the Final Four, you know, we got Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. Mark Hughes got the team back there. But the team that I spoke about from day one, I like Kansas.
Yeah.
I like what Bill Self does in Kansas.
Yeah.
And this team has not played short of brilliant yet, Charles.
Yeah.
This is a well-honed team that plays well. You talk about all, and they have North Carolina this week, Charles. So one of those teams are going to be gone.
Yeah.
UCLA or North Carolina.
Yeah.
And so that's going to eliminate one of the teams.
Well, they're playing Kentucky actually, Big C, Kentucky, which is a rematch for them. Yeah.
They got Kentucky, and that's a rematch from a game early in the season.
Yeah.
But you know, I like the way Kentucky plays in the tournament, Charles. They play different in the tournament than what they play during the regular season. Steve Alford is the coach that's torn right now, Charles. The job is open at Indiana.
Oh, he's going to Indiana. He's going to Indiana.
It's hard. Well, it's hard to go in this game with UCLA. Well, he finds a way to make an early exit so he can, when the Texas State goes back to Indiana, they might be playing that all during the game.
Go back to Indiana. Yeah. Well, I I know that the Beatles saying they wish they could all be California girls, kind of like, Shawana West out here too. Beach Boys. But I think I'm going with UCLA to the Final Four. I think they just pass the ball too well. They score too many points. Cincinnati has the best defense they'll probably see in the tournament. But in the final 30 seconds, Big C, what are you looking forward to coming into this week, Big C?
Well, like I said, Jonathan, I want to see Gonzaga advance. I really do. I want to see the little guy, get to the point of where they need to be. Mark Q has been an excellent coach, 20 consecutive years of being in a championship run, and it's time to see that college basketball really has parity.
Yeah.
And, we saw Butler for a couple of years make that run into the Final Four.
Yeah.
I think it's Gonzaga's time right now, Jonathan, to get to that point. And we saw where Butler's coach ended up coaching the Celtics.
Yeah.
But I think Mark Q will stay set. He doesn't want a big-time program. He likes what he does in Gonzaga. Look at Phil in Kansas making it to Phoenix, Jonathan, along with the University of Arizona. You can keep UCLA, but I think Arizona, Gonzaga, and Kansas will be there. But the other team, I don't know.
Well, Big C, that's a very good call. We'll have to see how it goes down. I want to say congratulations to the ACC. Only 1 out of 9 teams made it through. The Pac-12 has 3, and the Big Ten also has 3. And I'll tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports have been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We also want to tell you there's never any tolerance for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage or any man grabbing her by the crotch, just call 911, because no one should have to go through that garbage all on our own. And as we always tell you, on every broadcast, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.